So AI has now been the buzzword for at least a couple of years, but how is it changing how we connect and communicate with each other at work? We're going to be looking at that right now in Connected at Work. I'm Simone Heng, Human Connection Specialist and author of the award-winning Let's Talk About Loneliness. Let's get into it. Technology has obviously been a huge contributor into how we connect and how it has changed the way that we communicate. In fact, latest research shows that our algorithms are already changing the way that we speak. The introduction of AI has taken everything to the next level, and in some cases can augment loneliness and disconnection at work. I want to take us a little bit into the minds of generations that could be using AI companions. So an AI companion is an AI friend, and it can be done using an avatar and large language model technology where you can talk with and chat with in voice this AI avatar. And there are loads of different apps that provide this. But some people have even been using large language models like ChatGPT to be their AI friend, feeling that it's a safer place to be able to confide in their deepest, darkest secrets than with human beings. So that's the first thing that has been changed by the introduction of AI and a lot of technology is trust. Trust is the cornerstone of connection. We don't connect with people unless we trust them. That's the difference between communication and connection. Communication, well, you can still be talking with someone. It does not mean that you trust them. So if we see that trust is diminishing because we can no longer believe our eyes or ears when we look at things on the internet, we can no longer believe voices of songs that we hear as being from our favorite artists, this calls the whole concept of trust into connection. People also trust institutions less. So if you are leading an institution, this makes that even harder for you as well. So let's say an employee on your team feels lonely. And they don't feel lonely just because of what's happening at work. Maybe there are circumstances at home which make them feel lonely as well. They might be caring for an aging parent around their work hours, or they are just living by themselves and they haven't been able to find a partner, for example. Loneliness makes people more vulnerable to engaging with these AI chatbots. And when people form addictions to these AI friends or choose them over real life human connection, a few things happen. Number one, we don't get the same satiation that we get from in real life, in-person connection when we work with the digital. We don't have the same quota of dopamine, oxytocin. It's not happening in the same way. And we need those feel-good hormones and chemicals. We need them for our mental and our physical health. What's also happening, though, is that these algorithm-powered AI friends are programmed to make you feel good, to agree with you. And this enforces an echo chamber that's already happening with our AI-powered algorithms on social media. So you get used to your opinion, your viewpoint, your perspective being basically recycled back to you over and over again, which makes you less agreeable in person. Jonathan Haidt also talks about something called asynchronous communication in his book, The Anxious Generation. Asynchronous communication means that for a long time now, people that have had a digital childhood have been able to do a lot of text-based communication. And when you have text-based communication, that means when you're having a difficult conversation, a negative conversation, you can take as long as you like, really, to return a message to that person. You can use ChatGPT to write the perfect response. And why is that a problem in the workplace if people are doing this in their personal time? So imagine you're in the workplace and there's a crisis and that needs to be solved immediately. And while managing that crisis, there's arguments happening and disagreements happening. And if you have only had this perfectly curated text-based interactions up until entering work, you're going to have weaker skills when it comes to navigating those difficult conversations. You're going to be less socially agile. That means you are not able to answer as quickly as everyone else because everything has been mediated by this text-based communication. So that is something that managers have to be aware of and mentor into the workplace with a connection-first mindset. So AI is, believe it or not, kind of related to psychological safety. Here's an example. If you have a workplace where there isn't psychological safety, where people don't feel safe to ask questions, then your employees, they're going to look to these large language models to ask their questions, missing out on a key opportunity to ask a mentor to help answer a question for them, and then creating a connection, a workplace friend. They're not going to reach out to ask a superior or even a colleague if they don't feel safe to do so. So there's two things happening here. It's not about reducing AI, it's building more safety and therefore trust and therefore connection where people feel they can go to each other. So if I was a manager, that is the first thing I'd really ask myself. Do my people feel safe to go to each other? Are structures in place where people feel that they can be interrupted by their colleagues or their subordinates to be asked questions? Or do people feel fearful of that? And I feel if we can solve that better and people feel more safe psychologically, they'll go more to each other than to AI to answer their pressing questions. So with that said, how do we build that psychological safety? Well, that happens from the leader modeling that down. A leader that makes themselves vulnerable to ask questions. A leader that says sometimes they don't have all the answers, which encourages people who work for them and with them to feel that it's okay not to know everything all the time. And yes, of course we should use AI. It's hugely intelligent to answer our questions, but that doesn't mean we can't still also talk with our colleagues and workshop. Some of the most brilliant ideas come out of that creative brainstorming that happens when we're in connection with others, throwing around ideas. As AI use increases, it will continue to shape, just like all technologies in our history, how we connect with each other. What's important for leaders is to stay abreast of this, to observe within the workplace. Make a note in your phone of how you can see connection changing as a result of this. And it's only if we stay up to date and aware can we provide solutions to make sure we retain human connection at work.